Good morning. Call the meeting to order. Do we have any items from the public? Not yet? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda if there's no modifications or changes?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Purchase order log. Any questions for Tracy back there? She's hiding and she doesn't want to be up here with us, so I always point her out. Thank you. Internal budget revisions, we don't have any. Have a change in status here. We have new hire recommendation received from the Honorable Sheriff Rob Blair for Brianna Yvonne, is that Benham, as a part-time administrative assistant. And that is effective on November the 18th, 2024, with an hourly rate of $17.83 an hour. Have new hire recommendation received from Chad Weinbrenner, Deputy County Administrator for Kirsten Emmerich, as a Administrative Assistant 2 in the County Commission's office, effective November the 18th, 2024, with an annual salary of $42,000. Change in status received from Jennifer Swisher, 911 Director, for Jace Ferguson and Mary Stockett, to be promoted from call taker trainee to telecommunicator 1. That is effective October the 23rd, 2024, with the annual salary change from $46,357 to $50,341. Have a request received from the Honorable Sheriff Rob Blair to remove Lisa French from the payroll, effective October the 30th, 2024. Letter of resignation received from voters registration for Karen Butcher, and that is effective November the 6th, 2024. And have a letter of resignation received from emergency communications for Carolyn Spots, and that is effective November the 4th for 2024. And is that it for the change in status? So, approval of the minutes. Everyone was present, so we can keep them in the consent agenda. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Nothing from the assessor for the correction of assessment logs. Board and meeting reports. Mr. Barnhart, what do you have to say?
Well, actually, I don't have anything. I didn't have a meeting this week. That's 2 weeks in a row. Thank you very much. And I'll let other people take the ball and run with it.
All righty. Mr. Catlett, how about you?
Last Friday, Commissioner Goganair and I drove up to Romney to attend a meeting with West Virginia DOH. District 5 hosted the meeting. There were representatives from the Charleston staff there. And we presented in writing to them several concerns of ours in this area. And so we discussed at some point during the meeting when we had the opportunity about several concerns for this area. And with the hope, I think the gist of it is that we don't feel that we have issues with District 5 at all. Our issues are all with Charleston and the lack of funding for Berkeley County and the needs that we have. So
Were there commissioners from all the counties there?
a couple. Several counties, I think there's 8 in our district, or 9, I'm not sure, 8 or 9, but I saw at least 4 or 5, maybe Morgan County, Jefferson County. Well, not commissioners, actually. Jefferson County was Charlestown.
And Ransom.
And Ranson.
City of Martinsburg.
Hardy County had a rep there, commissioner, but City of Martinsburg was there. Very informative meeting, and it's just, you know, there's several districts in the state, I think 5 total, and it's proportioned in my mind by the number of miles you have in your district. And my point was the population is shifting all to the eastern side of the state, and the funding needs to shift along with that. Our roads are traveled 100 times more traffic than the roads in other parts of the state, and they need more attention. And obviously we need some road improvements. So, but all in all, I think it was worth our time being there. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out in Charleston with the new administration coming in, and we'll go from there. Tuesday evening, I had the pleasure of being invited to the Roundhouse for the Governor Morrissey's celebration. I wanted to compliment the Roundhouse and how impressive that facility was that night. I think it speaks well that the governor of the state, the next governor, had his victory party here in Martinsburg, Berkeley County. So that's a wonderful thing. And hopefully with he being a Eastern Panhandle resident, it'll lead to good things for us. So also over the weekend, I received picked up 4 checks from Senator Blair. Two of them I pursued was a $50,000 grant for War Memorial Park Pavilion replacement and $50,000 for Berkeley Senior Services. So very pleased to get those, and they'll be going through our purchase order process to be distributed to these agencies in the next week or so. And
What's the 50,000 to the senior center?
they lost one of their buses in an accident, and the insurance only gave them $39,000 as a replacement, and it's about $100,000 to get a new one. So it's going to be added to the 39 to get them up closer to where they need to be to purchase a new bus. So.
They're actually on the PO Loki just approved.
Okay, the checks are?
They're
Yeah,
on this
okay,
PO.
great. And then also, just so while we're talking about the senior services, the ambulance authority does have their AED and their cabinet ready to go, and we're going to have a get together here soon, a presentation of the AED and installation of it at the senior services. The staff from the ambulance authority is going to train the staff there how to use the thing, and I'll let you guys know if you want to attend that ceremony. I'll let you know when it's going to happen in the next week or so. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Eddie, what you got?
Yes, sir. Just follow up with Commissioner Catlett on the DOH District 5 meeting. One of the points that was stressed to them was that because of our heavier vehicle growth, that there needs to be changes in the traffic warrants that they use to identify where there needs to be a turn lane, a deceleration lane. You cannot compare how we're operating with the rest of the state, especially, in particular, southern West Virginia. So they did assure me that they're looking at some other states to be able to try and improve some of those things that in the past they were not willing to discuss. Our engineer would constantly make recommendations for improvements to the road, and the Department of Highways would consistently pay no interest to it. So at least now they will be hopefully looking at changing some of that. Another point is that locally, our DOH secondary road crew, they're down 22 employees. So hope we don't get a whole lot of snow this winter. I also had a Zoom meeting with Development Authority with a subcommittee I'm on, property maintenance. Basically dealt with some window issues and some outside maintenance, snow removal, and that kind of stuff. Another Zoom meeting yesterday with the Development Authority. Basically, most of the conversation dealt with a piece of land on the south end of the runway that where the gentleman wants to build a building. It's in the flight path. So they'll need to work through the FAA, and it's right out the outside corner of it. So they've got some work to do there to assist.
Laura is very familiar with that process. So,
Okay.
if you want to go talk to her, she helped me out with another person who needed that approval to have it done. So
Yeah,
she's
they were
very
gonna-
familiar with
they were
it.
gonna reach out to
Height
Nick.
restrictions is what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, they were also going to reach out to Nick
Yeah.
because I know he's got a relationship with the FAA.
Yeah.
And also, as Steve mentioned, very nice evening celebrating with the governor's celebration of our new governor. And my hat's off to the Roundhouse Committee there as well, and all the people that came together to make that happen, to help showcase our new governor at that facility. And this evening at 4 o'clock, I have a meeting with American Water.
Okay. Very good. I didn't have any meetings, but I'm going to reiterate about the Roundhouse. And where'd Matt? I just saw him. Matt, I want to thank you personally for all the hard work you and your committee did down there. And it was a great event and a great venue to have, and we'll continue to put a good word out so everybody knows what we have here in Berkeley County. It is definitely a diamond in the rough, so thank you. Any reappointments that we have here for, anybody want to make any motions?
Yes. I would like to make a motion that we reappoint Patrick Henry to the Senior Services Board.
Okay, have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Anything else?
He serves as our board president and does a really good job at that. And they would probably run me out of town if we didn't reappoint him. So.
All righty. Honorary councilperson, Mr. Gokenhour.
I'm going to take care of that.
Oh, you're going to take care of that.
I'm going to do
Okay,
that
Steve?
because so relative to me is here today, and she's also from Hedgesville High School.
Really?
And so when someone's here from Hedgesville High School, Terry, I always point out that 3 of the commissioners of the 5 all graduated from Hedgesville High School, so it tells you something right there.
So all
The
the
old-
problems we
the
have,
old
you know where they result from.
Yeah,
Steve, tell her the old Hedgesville High
the
School.
old Hedgesville High School. She knows what that is. But her grandmother's here, Donna Hedges, and her mom and dad are here, so it's good to have them. Donna's husband is my wife's uncle, so thought y'all should know that. Yeah,
And Donna.
that's correct. Okay, you repeat after me, and we'll swear you in officially, okay? I, Corey Graff,
I, Corey Grant,
do swear
do swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
that I will work hard to fulfill the responsibilities
that I will work hard to fulfill the responsibilities
of the office of Honorary Commissioner,
of the office of Honorary Commissioner,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. I flew into Chick-fil-A yesterday with my granddaughters, and Corey's in there waiting on us. So, but if you would tell us a little something about you and what you're doing in high school and what your future plans are, perhaps. Okay.
So I am a current student at Hedgesville High School. I also do dual enrollment at Blue Ridge Community College. I work a part-time job at Chick-fil-A, and I also do travel volleyball. In the future, I would like to become an anesthesiology assistant. I've always wanted to be like a nurse or something like that, so it's really interesting.
I got to ask what volleyball team for travel.
I do Shenandoah Surge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. My granddaughter's on EPAN.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to be here. If you want to interrupt any point in time, just get Mr. Whitaker's attention.
Okay.
And if you want to say something, feel free to speak out, okay?
Yeah, please do.
Here's your certificate, and
you.
great. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Next up, we're a little bit, well, no, we're right on time.
Money.
Right on the money. Maria, this is your time. So Maria's with the director, executive, or development director with Hospice of the Panhandle, and it's National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. For a resolution.
Thank you for allowing us to be here. We have a pretty busy month this month. I said to my colleague Nikki, I said, I would love for this to be like in February, because, you know, as you sort of wind down year end, things that are going on. But this is the month that we really celebrate hospice and palliative care. You all know that we serve 4 counties, Berkeley, Jefferson, Morgan, Hampshire. And on any given day, we're serving anywhere from 200 to 250 patients and families in those 4 counties. We also, 3 years ago, began a new palliative care program that is designed to, much like hospice, keep patients in their homes, but it's a little bit different than hospice because patients can still continue to get aggressive care. So we're very proud of our palliative care program. We have we have 2 nurse practitioners who make visits to patients' homes. And then we are actually expanding that program. Right now, it is in Berkeley and Jefferson counties, and beginning 2025, we will add Morgan and Hampshire counties, and we are hiring an additional nurse practitioner. I think what you will see in the future from Hospice of the Panhandle is we're not just hospice anymore. We recognize that we need to be a much larger umbrella, if you will, to sort of work along the continuum of care for seniors and for folks who need care, not just at the end of their lives, but through their whole diagnosis of either a chronic or a serious illness. We want to be there for them. So we appreciate you allowing us to come. I have a few little tchotchkes. I don't have any cookies this time, but I'm not asking for any money, so I don't have to
That
give you any
should not be
cookies,
a
right?
prerequisite.
Well, I got to say, I did speak with Delegate Eric Householder, and he does have proceeds that he wants to dispense, and he said he would get me those checks, but it hasn't happened yet. And I do believe one of them is for you
Okay.
all. So I
Sounds
wish I
good.
would have had that to give to you today, so it would have been a
I
recipient.
understand. I
But,
understand. I've been in touch with Mr. Wine about
Okay.
that, and we are very excited because with the help of some LEDA funds, we are going to be able to purchase our own emergency transport vehicle. Mr. Whitaker and I have had a couple conversations, and I know you all recognize the issue with emergency transport these days. Really, it happened with the pandemic, and then ultimately the demise of Rhino Ambulance Company, who did much of our transport. And once they went out of business, it's become increasingly difficult. I can't remember if I told you this or not, Jim, but just last week, we had to get a patient to the hospital before we could get them to our inpatient facility because we didn't have emergency transportation for them. So we just decided it's time to take this on our own, and with the help of some state funding, we're going to be able to do that. So it's exciting. So stay tuned.
Yep.
We'll do that as well. Mr. Whitaker, do you want to read the resolution or?
No, I have it here. Do you need a copy of it?
No,
Okay.
but I have it right here too.
Okay, you can go
so-
right ahead.
Okay. So whereas for more than 44 years, Hospice of the Panhandle has helped provide comfort and dignity to thousands of people, allowing them to spend their final months at home surrounded by their loved ones. Whereas the hospice model involves an interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, and comprehensive pain management. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, hospice attends to the patient's emotional and spiritual and family needs and provides family services such as respite and bereavement counseling. Whereas since its conception, hospice's benefits holistic approach has helped patients prepare for and face death and their loved ones to carry on supported in the wake of it. Whereas palliative care improves the quality of life and relief from pain can be provided at any time during an illness, and hospices are some of the best providers of community-based palliative care. Whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrates how healthcare can and should work at its best for patients. Whereas 1.72 million Medicare beneficiaries living with life-limiting illness and their families received care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States last year. Whereas hospice and palliative care organizations are advocates and educators about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. And whereas the central philosophy of hospice care puts patients first, ensuring a coordinated and person-centered approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on their needs. Whereas, given our universal mortality, hospice is a valuable benefit for all Americans and their loved ones. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Berkeley County Commission does hereby proclaim November as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of all care at home services to include family caregivers, palliative care, hospice, home health, and private duty home care, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs.
Okay, you've heard the proclamation. Do we have a motion to adopt the proclamation?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries, and I'm going to
Thank you.
pass this down to have it signed.
Thank you.
Maria, I picked up 4 LED checks from Senator Blair over the weekend, and one of them was for hospice. It's in our purchase order log, and you'll get it soon for just under $82,000. So.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
That's gonna take care of that transportation, Mr. Catlett. Get us started for sure.
And I heard you on the radio talking about the amendment on the ballot this time, and it passed, obviously, and I think that was probably, in my mind, the right thing that happened, but I know that y'all were probably
Yeah, we were getting a
under a lot of concern about that. And
we were getting a lot of, questions from patients and families, the staff was.
Yeah.
And as I said on the radio, we did not take a position on that, but just tried to explain, the circumstances around it, what brought it about, and then people make their, clearly they make their own choice as to how to vote. So we will not change the way we deliver care. We will continue to provide excellent care throughout the communities and the patients and families that we serve. So
I can say
Thank you.
firsthand that it has been excellent.
can we grab a picture?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll take a quick break here.
And
We'll
we're
get
very
one with-
fortunate to have the Hospice of the Panhandle here. We're so blessed to have you here. The care that's given to the folks is the best care available. You have a beautiful facility and wonderful people. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I posted a little picture yesterday on my Facebook page, and I really, I just celebrated 16 years, which I can't believe. But it's also, it really is a privilege to just be a part of an organization that does absolutely amazing. Who's coming out today?
We're going to take a quick break.
Thank you.
We're back in session. Up next is Will Lawrenson, fiduciary supervisor, state accounts for the month of November.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Yes.
Good morning.
This morning, we have 29 estates for final or interim settlements for the month of November 2024. All estates proposed for settlement this morning are identical to those found in your read-ahead. Additionally, all estates proposed for settlement here this morning have been legally or actually noticed of their proposed pending settlement status as prescribed by West Virginia law. Furthermore, my office has received no written notice of objection to date from any interested parties of the estates herein. Lastly, all claims of debt publicly filed against these estates, have either been released as paid in part or in full by the creditors themselves, or the estates have been declared to be insolvent, meaning no probate assets remain to pay heirs, beneficiaries, and creditors alike. Without objection from any present interested party in the audience today, I ask for this Commission's consideration for the approval of the 29 estates for final or interim settlement in the month of November 2024.
All righty. You've heard the ask. Do I have a motion to approve the fiduciary's report?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 29 estates as presented.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Nothing on the horizon?
We have an estate hearing next week.
Oh, okay.
There you go, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you, Will.
Up next, we have Risa. She's going to tell us a little bit about the farmland.
Morning, Commissioners.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to give you a little supplement. Steve called me yesterday and asked for a map, so I wanted to share it with all of you. Thank you for having me today. I'd like to ask permission to close on 4 farmland protection properties. One is a full donation of almost 100 acres, and the other 3 were our top properties from fiscal year 2024. It'll be a total of 325 acres, and it'll bring us to just over 9,100 acres protected in the county. All of these properties are appraised above the asking price, meaning the property owner will get a donation component. You have any questions about any of the properties? 2 are in Hedgesville, and 2 are in the Jarrettstown district.
Are they
The two in
agricultural?
Hedgesville are side by side, so it's like really one large tract, so.
Yes, and those 2 Hedgesville ones are surrounded by lots of development.
So, these are really wonderful additions
Yeah, they're all
like
working
an oasis
farms.
in there. Them on them. Very good.
on Butler's Chapel Road, so.
Okay. Well, we have those. So do I have a motion to approve the Commission for Farmland Preservation Board to close on the 3 conservation? 4. I was going to say,
I would like to
4.
make that motion, Mr. President, to approve these additions to our farmland protection program.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. All done.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
I
you,
think I
Risa. Thanks.
wasn't anything signature I needed. Jennifer, you're right on time. Come on up.
Good morning.
Good, good. We had an MOU here to sign for Frederick County.
So it's Frederick County,
Yeah.
Virginia. It's an agreement between our county and their county to utilize various talk groups channels on the radio. This is just an update of an old MOU.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that goes along with it, or just?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
IT assisted, making sure that everything was accurate. And again, it's just more updating the information. They're getting ready to go to a new radio system after the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So,
All right, need a motion to enter into the MOU with Frederick County Fire and Rescue, and I guess give me the authority to sign. Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. I've already signed it for you.
that's wonderful.
That it?
Thank you.
All right.
And
And
Please,
give us,
You want me to
going to give us an update.
Okay.
Let's hear it. Take care of business first now.
Yep, that's great. Thank you very much. So just a little update on my department this past couple months. We did, the state passed the 20-year retirement for all 911 telecommunicators, and that happened at the end of August. So out of the 600 people that were eligible to vote in the state, which meant those people that were hired after the 2022 date, or I'm sorry, before, out of those 600, we needed 75% around the state to vote yes. We actually had 92% in the state that voted yes. So it was overwhelmingly agreed upon. So
Tell them what that means, Jen. I don't know that they completely
okay.
understand what it meant to your employees.
So we went from a 30-year retirement to a 20-year retirement. So the great part about that is in our job, which is very stressful, it gives them the opportunity to leave at 20 years or earlier, and they would lose a little bit of money, and they are vested at 5 years versus the 10 years. So it's huge. It's a great recruitment, retention. We are the only state in the United States that offers a 20-year retirement. You're more apt to see that in law enforcement, fire, some EMS, but never in dispatch.
What's the accrual? Do they get like 2% a year or?
It's different.
It is.
It has a quicker escalator than so it's loaded on the front end and slows down at the back. It's EMSR, I said, it's the same one.
Yeah, and it's a stronger multiplier.
Correct.
also.
So it's very exciting for us. There are states that are very jealous of what we have. We're actually, papers were presented to speak at a national conference in June just about this, because there are a lot of states that want to know how we did it. I was involved with it for about 3 of the 7 years that they've been working towards it. So it's very exciting for us.
Very good.
It's exciting for me too.
Yeah.
And that's also something that Senator Baird helped
Yes.
guide through
Yes.
the legislature as well.
He was one of the
From our previous
co-signers on the
meeting,
bill. Yes, sir.
Very good. That's, I can almost understand the stressfulness that it would put on the body. And even though it has a multiplier that would, modifier for your retirement, you're also modifying and multiplying your stress level over your life. So,
Most definitely. Not many people like myself are in this for 30 years.
yeah.
So I'm in my 30th year now. So it is nice that we are giving people the opportunity to have that option if they so choose down the road. So it's exciting. A few more things that have been going on with our department is we had a new academy that began at the beginning of October. They have completed all their certification courses. Because we're able to host these certification courses, we were able to bring in people from the outside to come in. For instance, from Loudoun County, they were able to come up and they were able to participate in our classes as well. And our group will finish their academy at the end of this month, and they will start rolling out into the dispatch center and learning what they need to keep on going with their career. So
Very good.
that's exciting. We will need to advertise for another academy soon after the beginning of the year with the hopes to hire between 5 and 9. Currently, we are down 9. So we will need to be rolling right into another academy after the beginning of the year. Another good thing to note is our accreditation. It seems like it was just last year that it happened, but it was actually in 2022. So we are up for recertification or accreditation, I'm sorry, next year. So we're going to start working on that in the spring. So again, just as a reminder to everyone is we were one of 22 in the world that had obtained this accreditation level. Now there have been some since, but not everybody goes on to do reaccreditation. So when we initially accredited, there was only 13 that were the tri-accredited. So we were even a smaller group of people that continue to do that. So we've been able to keep up all of our quarterly scores that we have to submit to them. So we are still keeping that level of excellence to our citizens, which is the most important thing for me and my staff.
The elite of the elite.
Yeah, it's very good. It's exciting. And there have been some other counties around us. Loudoun County, Virginia has just completed 2 of the 3. So they are also, it's inspirational to see people around you doing the same thing. We are working really hard with IT and the county administrator on our next generation project, which is estimated to be completed in the 3rd quarter of this fiscal year. So we are excited to see that come to an end. I don't know if the county administrator wants to add anything else.
Other than the fact that you missed the opportunity to be the first in the world at no fault of your own. Your current telephone provider failed on their commitment to providing what was necessary, so now going to be second in the world. And just to the point of her accreditation, understand that 13 is out of 6,000 PSAPs in the country.
In the world.
I know, but in this country,
in this country, yes.
6,000 PSAPs, and they're one of 13 in the world.
How many is from this country?
That are in that, it's probably 3/4 of that number, or
8 or 9, somewhere in that.
yeah, probably, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Remarkable.
Yeah, because initially the next generation is going to be January 1. Now it's going to be April 1, probably.
3rd quarter. Did you say 3rd quarter?
I did.
You said 3rd quarter, so that's October. October.
Well, 3rd quarter of fiscal year.
So
So
first
that's-
quarter of calendar.
Yeah. Sorry.
So Jen and IT and myself will have a conversation tomorrow. I hope to be in front of you in the next couple of weeks, present to you an opportunity to make some software changes in our current provider. They have proven to fail over and over and over again, and in my humble opinion, that was the last straw. But we'll be talking soon, not only for a change, but for a cost-effective change.
Very good.
Just a few more things. Our dispatchers, we're really big on community service, both inside of our facility and outside, helping the community. My dispatchers participated in the House on Wheels with Berkeley Fire and Emergency Management. We had participated in the county food drive, the first night out, the annual Wish Senior Center dinner, which was a really cool experience for some of my staff. They went in to the senior center and they were actually serving the seniors their dinner that night, and I came back with some really great feedback how they enjoyed doing that. So they participated in the trunk or treat, and West Virginia Goes Purple at War Memorial Park. So they enjoy being involved in the community, and we obviously encourage that. We had a pumpkin decorating contest, this is some of the fun stuff that we try to keep that stressful job fun. We put it on our social media. It had an outpouring of people that made comments on and elected the winning pumpkin. And it got more following to our social media site, which is good. So that is also a site that we share with emergency management. So getting more people involved and interested in the public service side of the county is something that's good. In the winter, we will be participating in our annual rescue mission food drive, our Children's Home Society toy drive, and in the spring, we will be participating in, we're actually participating in the planning right now, but of the Tri-State Telecommunicators Banquet, which is in its 32nd year. And I just realized when I saw that I've participated for 30 of those years. So I feel that I've aged through the system and through all of these. So it's kind of exciting for us. But we keep moving along. Things are going well. The staff is working very hard. It's around the holidays. And as everyone knows, in this type of job, not everyone has the holidays off. So, we work as good as we can with our employees to get time off during the holidays.
Share the responsibility.
Yeah.
Very good.
And how many calls a year? Are you prepared with that number today?
I did not bring that number with me, but
But I know it's a busy center.
It is.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's definitely a busy center.
I think it's around 130,000 of calls that we answer.
I would offer just under 150. I think it's over 130 this year.
Yeah.
And you're down 9?
You got 9 employees right now? And what's your total employees?
Total
Or
that
you
we
should be.
at 42.
42?
So we're down about a third of the staff.
25%, yeah.
So it impacts our staff. I will tell you, my staff is really great at sliding their schedules so that we don't have overtime. That we do that as much as possible, and they volunteer to do that. But it is, being down, we'll be losing two that have submitted their resignations within the next 2 weeks. We will be losing one this week and one the following week, and so that makes it difficult. So unfortunately, we will have to work some overtime.
So what's the driver there? I mean,
It varies per individual. A lot of times we see childcare as being one of the things. It's difficult, especially if you're a single parent, to find childcare when you are in these type of 24/7 fields. Not many people want to take care of children overnight, although it might be the easiest time. Not a lot of providers are out there. And sometimes people just find that it's not the career for them as well. They're not inclined to do shift work. They don't particularly like it. And sometimes that takes actually working it to understand that you don't, that's not for you. But I can tell you, and the most recent one was in the academy, who had been offered a job that they had applied for back in the summer. And the other two, it's mainly around childcare. So no fault of our own, it's just.
Our salary fund, I mean, in terms of your mind?
It's competitive.
Competitive, yeah.
so see me before you leave the building today, 'cause I had a conversation yesterday about childcare, and I figured that would be one of your answers. But I had a conversation yesterday about that, so.
And I think we do a good job recruiting. I think, obviously communications is one of those fields. We hadn't lost people for quite some time, which is great. And it's a good thing because overall in telecommunications around the country, you see a much quicker departure rate. And again, that's where the 20-year retirement is helpful. It helps with the burnout. It helps to be able to give our telecommunicators the ability to have access to outside resources such as counseling after bad incidents and those types of things. And just generally overall taking care of your employees and looking out for their best interests.
We appreciate the job you do.
Thank you.
Nice to know that we have an elite squad down there.
We do. I'm very proud of them.
Yep, I would be too. So thank you for giving us that opportunity to be proud of them.
Sure. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Good day.
Okay, well, we're about due for a break until our Joe shows up, so we'll take a break until then. All righty, we're back in session, and we have Joe Burton, Executive Director for the Berkeley County Parks and Rec, is going to go over what we own in facilities and give us a little bit of an update. So good to have you in here this morning, Joe.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to extend our thanks to the county commission, because without the funding we received through you, we would be nowhere really in maintaining our properties. So I just put together a presentation to kind of share some of what's been going on at the county and facilities during the past year. And I'll do kind of a summary at the end. But I'll start with Poorhouse. You see on the presentation there are some major expenditures that are matched to improvements that have happened in the park. But just to give you an idea of some things that went on at Poorhouse this year, we were able to bring the trout derby back. We made it a family event for the first time. We were really excited about that, and it was a lot of participation in that, something we hope to continue to do every year. We hosted our Color Run 5K at Poorhouse. We had several free family movie nights out there. We just had the Mothman Disc Golf Tournament, which is on the Pro Disc Golf Association Tour, and it was maxed out. So I think disc golf, it's a bigger thing than we realize, and we're starting to try to cater to that crowd. We've done a lot of work on the mountain there, cleaning up the course, trying to improve those trails. We just put new tee signs up at all the locations that match the current setup for the tees, and we got some nice comments from that group. That the tournament was to capacity, and they actually had people on the waiting list where they didn't have quite enough to do a whole second flight, but the whole first flight was at capacity. So the next step there, we hope to do some work on the front course and convert it into an 18-hole juniors course, and eventually try to do some rec programs based on that juniors course that would then maybe expand to the adult course as time goes on.
The appeal is the fact that not only just coming to Berkeley County, but that course is so challenging compared to a lot because of the woods and the hillside and all that. I mean, it's a really challenging course, so it draws the really quality players to be able to play that course. So.
God bless you.
Bless you. Commonly, people are driving up to 3 hours to play that course.
Yeah.
It's really, really impressive to hear that.
Yep.
I've driven 12 hours to play golf, so.
There you go. Berkeley County Schools hosted a big event last spring for all the third grade classes in the county. We're out at the park planting trees with the Capon Institute and engaging in some outdoor education activities there. We brought our own day camp students from our summer camp out there several times for outdoor events. It continues to be the home of Eastern Panhandle Youth Football and equestrian events at the Henry Arena. We rented the barn for weddings and events on 68 separate occasions during the year, and the pavilions were rented 150 times. Our focus, especially maintenance, has been on overall cleanliness of the park and trying to do some work on those trails to get them cut back and improved in good shape.
Bless you.
I can't stress the amount of use this facility gets. And it's something I'll say about these other county facilities also, but I just got a car counter, and I'm going to get it set up and put it on the gate there so I can, by the time we get into budget season, I can bring you guys some real hard data. But all of our parks have been so busy, and Poorhouse in particular is busy every single day of the week. And I had some of our staff was out there yesterday hanging curtains in the brick house that we've been working on. And they said how shocked they were that at 8:30 on a Wednesday, how many people were in that park. And I said, yeah, it's any time you go, it's any day of the week. There's people all over that park and enjoying everything they can do. So the next slide shows, this is just a snapshot of some high-level things that I really feel like need to happen in the next 5 years at the park. We put a lot of effort into the lake this season, working on water quality, doing some repair. We did a pretty significant repair to the dam where it was leaking. But there's some erosion happening on the whole lake, especially on the dam side, that's getting pretty significant. And that number is just going to keep getting bigger over time. I'd really like to be able to address that in the coming years to try to stable that and end that bank erosion. We've done some work on the trails, but we need to do more. We really want to get first some physical mapping and marking done and physical separation of some of the hiking, biking, and disc golf trails, because with increased use, we get into some situations where it gets dangerous at times. There's a lot of people back there on that mountain going through wooded trails, and we don't want anybody getting hurt running into each other. In the future, we'd like to get that all electronic and have an active map system where you could see exactly where you are in the park and where the trails are compared to where you are in the park. That mountain has some really significant erosion to the existing trails and the road that was designed to get equipment up there. So we struggle right now to get any kind of mowing equipment up there, or even to get our gator up there with chainsaws and tools to get to the backside. And a concern I have is if anybody was to get seriously hurt, we'd have a hard time getting to them back in those areas. So I think repairs to some of the erosion areas, maybe cutting in more sensible access in places, and including a fire road around the perimeter, I think is something to look at in the future. That would be an important addition to that park. Also have a real need for additional pavilions, additional restrooms, which I know would be a health department conversation. That's something I hope by the time we get into budget season, I will have been able to talk to the health department about what's possible out there and bring you all hard numbers of what would it take to make additional restroom facilities at that park. And then the historic stone house there is a beautiful building, but we definitely have to give it some attention. We're able to put a new roof on it several years ago, which was super important to stop the water damage from continuing. And now we're in a situation where I'd really like to be able to go in and gut some of those improvements that were done over the years, get it back to its historic shell, and take a look at how is it structurally and what is the safety of that structure going forward. Next slide. At DuPont, again, I talk about heavy use. I have a trail camera set up at DuPont because we've had some problems with vandalism and drinking in the evenings out there by the pavilion. And what I've seen from that trail camera is it's almost a 24-hour facility. Because of all those new homes there are people walking, biking, walking dogs, and jogging through that facility at all hours of the day. I actually had to turn off the notifications on my phone because it was driving me crazy. So to say the public is enjoying that is an understatement. They're using it heavily, and I think we have to look at how do we accommodate that. The fields also are not being used only by our rec programs, but by the community in general. And we've had to lock the gates to the fields during the day because there were so many dogs going onto the fields, leaving us unwanted surprises when our kids are out there practicing. And we have people going over the fence because they're going out there to play soccer in groups. They're moving goals. They're trying to use those facilities. So that's a challenge we have to work out. I'm glad the community's enjoying it, and we have to look at how do we continue to take care of it and expand the use of those properties. We closed the lower fields for some restoration this season. We had to condense our programs under the remaining areas so we could do aeration, overseeding, and fertilizing of that field. We plan to do that each season as we go to stretch that natural grass surface as much as we can. It's very hard to do when you get 300 to 400 kids on it almost 7 days a week on those same areas. It's not really sustainable, but we're doing the best we can to until we're able to replace that with an artificial surface, we're doing the best we can to keep it nice. Next slide. And that's my recommendations for improvements to that facility is just that. Could we replace those natural grass surfaces with artificial turf and sports lighting, which would increase the number of hours that it could be used, the number of activities that could be done on it, and greatly reduce the wear and tear of those surfaces. Of course, it's a heavy lift. Next slide.
What would estimate for lighting down there?
Well, in that $8 million number would include the fields, the bathrooms, and the lighting. But just lighting, it really depends what you did and how many fields you did. It could quickly get up there.
Not all lighting is the same. They're not all equal.
Yeah, you're looking at 150 to 200,000 per field.
Per field.
And it would really make sense to do that when you're doing field work, because you're going to get into dirt work anyway, and running conduits and doing, in conjunction with other work would be more cost effective in the long run.
I've seen a lot of artificial turf come up for sale, like on Facebook Marketplace. Is any of that reusable for temporary use? Or is it so wore out from the previous,
That would be my guess.
big guess?
I think that's good for, a
Practice.
small practice area.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's what you'd want to spend. You're spending so much money on the dirt work and preparation to put down turf. The rug, even though it's expensive, it's a rug, and it's really the smallest piece of that whole picture. It's the stone base, the area around it, the water management, all that goes into it is the biggest part of your cost.
If they weren't be getting rid of it if it was any good.
That's
in my
true.
opinion.
That's, yeah.
The recent thing that they just did, the football field at Hedgesville and Musselman, to give you an example, and because this was a start and it was natural turf, they had to do the base and all. Each school cost $1.3 million to do them. Now, if you were just going in to replace a field like they did, then they just replaced the one at Spring Mills. It's already 12 years old. That was under a little 400 and something, just under $500,000 to replace the turf because the base and all was there. So that the initial cost to get it done is going to be up front. And they say you get 10, in recreation, you might get 15 years out of it.
Yeah, because Spring Mill's got 12. And
They got 12, yeah,
that's heavily used.
yeah.
Wow.
And you think about that cost, you take away the fertilizer, all the
Irrigation.
dirt work every year, the irrigation every year.
Yeah.
You take those things away, but it's not one time because you will need to replace it in 12 to 15 years, like Steve said. So there is continuing cost involved. It doesn't beat you up so much every single day that you're trying to take care of it. And the best part to me is that the community could use it for so many things. It would be used all the time, especially with lights. I got many examples. Those pickleball courts that just went up. They have lights till 10 o'clock, and people are out there till 10 o'clock on a weeknight playing pickleball because it's one of the only lighted facilities available.
They've talked about doing fields like this in other places of the county. Why would you not use what we already have, it's in place, and do it there? I mean, it makes all the
Halfway
sense
there.
in the world.
Yeah.
Because there's half your costs is you don't have land costs, you don't have the excavation of leveling the ground. It's already been done there, so it's the right investment to make in our communities down there in DuPont, in my mind, so.
Out at Rooney Park, the last several years has been lots of improvements to that park, and we see the result is just the use is insane. We have between Little League and travel baseball, it's being used every night of the week, and every weekend there are games and tournaments being held there. The playground that was built there has been thoroughly enjoyed by the community, and it's being used every night. You just drive back, pick a day of the week, and go by there in the evening, and you'll see families using that little playground. So that's something we really have to think about in the future is can we expand that, add some more equipment. The hiking trails that are back there are also being used heavily. We still have some problems with neighboring people coming in, riding equipment on those trails. That's something we have to look at, blocking that off and doing some more work to those trails to level them out, make them a little safer for people to walk on. But the good news is the community has responded to all those upgrades that have been done, and they're really using it heavily. We've had a great partner in the travel baseball group that's been working on our pavilion and batting cage facility that's being built out there. And as I show you on here, we've put $13,500 into it, but they put many, many more times that into it. And we're working on, we have an agreement with them that they're getting field time in exchange for all the money that they're putting in that facility. And when they're done with that, it's going to be enjoyed by everybody, not just that baseball group. Next slide is just some recommendations for the future at Rooney. Again, permanent restrooms. We did an improvement to the portable restrooms this year. We kept having them knocked over between the wind and kids. So we put in a concrete slab under those restrooms and a chain link fence around them. So it looks a lot nicer, and we haven't had to fight those issues. We have a big crowd show up and the porta johns on the side. But again, permanent restroom facilities out there would be fantastic. Expanding the playground, paving the parking, possibly adding sports lighting would extend those hours and doing work on that trail system. Next slide. The Randy Smith Center gets used 7 days a week. It's used by our programs. It's used heavily by Berkeley County schools. They are in there 5 to 7 days per week. Musselman High School even hosted their homecoming at the Randy Smith Center this year. It's definitely enjoyed by that community down there. We have a lot of open gym times that are used. And you can see the expenses are, the operational expenses high down there. On the maintenance side, we haven't had a lot into it so far because the building is still in fairly good new condition. Next slide. What we do see coming up in the future is probably we're going to start replacing HVAC units. We've got a increasing maintenance calls to those existing units, and just looking at the timeline, that's coming in the near future. And parking is an issue there. It's used so much. There's so many school events and so many rec center events that in theory it's great to be able to share a parking lot, but it doesn't work when we're both to capacity and we're trying to deal with it at the same time. So looking at that low-lying area past the rec center between the back parking lot of Musselman, it would be something to consider expanding some parking in there. We did expand parking with a little bit of a gravel lot recently just for some staff, and that's helped just get our staff cars out of the way, but it's not a long-term solution. We will need in the future to put more parking in there. Next slide. So a quick look at a few things that are in progress and coming up. Next slide. Hoax Run Battlefield Park is getting very close to completion. It's taken longer than I hoped, but it's looking fantastic. If you've had a chance to stop by there recently, all the sidewalks are done, the curb's up for the parking, the block on the restroom building is complete. I'm getting ready to have the roof put on that in the coming week or so, and we'll be wrapping that project up. Lots of interest in that pavilion already, and a lot of interest in that park from the community. So it shows there was a great need for it there. It's definitely going to be enjoyed. I have some bit of question about the future. I know that the Parks and Rec will continue to be responsible for maintaining that, but we'll have to take a look at that agreement as it comes together with the Battlefield Association to see exactly how that works and what they might contribute to the operations and maintenance of that facility going forward. But we're really looking forward to getting that up and going. Side of Stonebridge. So thank you again for funding some initial cleanup work there that we just did recently. We got that whole front area bush hog, did some improvements to the parking lot, took out a couple stumps that were in the way, and made that more usable for the public. Unfortunately, I see there's already been more trash dumped there since.
I about wrecked a truck the other day, Joe.
I'm sure you did.
We were going down, and I'm like, you kidding me already?
Yeah.
Sofa and a chair, and I'm like,
So that's, going forward,
That's not gonna
this
stop.
is a facility we're going to add to our weekly mowing. We're going to add it to our trash run. We're going to get in there and clean up those trails and expand those trails. So it's just going to be one more, it's a great addition for the community. It's going to be one more expense for us that we have to plan for going forward into next year and beyond. Next slide is the expansion of Poorhouse Farm Park, which so far we haven't really done anything other than all summer long we did maintain a walking path over there. We used it for our 5K. We had requests from the community, please keep those open. We like that bigger walking loop. So we've done that all summer long. We maintained that path. Next slide is Inwood, which I know that the county is putting some work out for bid in early spring, if I'm correct. So we're excited to see that one taken off. It will add more South Berkeley work for us. So even though it's not far away, it's a little bit, it extends our daily route out a little more. So that's something we'll also have to plan for in the future. I know the community can't wait to get that one going.
So just for the record on the Inwood Park, the commission most recently was awarded another grant, so they now have about $5.8 million of funds. That South Berkeley project.
That's fantastic. So that ought to get some roads in and some infrastructure set up. Be a great start.
It won't come soon enough.
Right. Absolutely right. I looked at all of our revenue through county-owned properties and our expenses to match, and I tried to think the best way to present it to you all. I didn't want to get too in the weeds with it, but I just wanted to kind of everybody understand. And I think the biggest takeaway from this slide is that hotel motel tax is so vital to us. It is such a big chunk of what keeps these parks and facilities going. You can see that on that chart to the left. It's almost 3/4 of it. And if you look at what we're able to produce revenue with, our facility rentals and our leagues and programs, I'm really proud of what we're able to accomplish, and I think there's room for improvement, and we're working on that now. But being realistic, if we were to double or even triple that revenue, it's kind of a small number in the whole scheme of things. So with all of our facility rentals on county property, which the barn venue is a huge chunk of that, $164,000. Even if we were to double that, it doesn't greatly move this formula. So I just wanted to say again, thank you to the county and point out how important your contributions are. I didn't say enough about that house remodel when we were talking about Poorhouse, but we put about $50,000 into that brick house, and we've called it the 1916. We've added it to the barn venue rental as an add-on option, and it will be a standalone rental when it doesn't conflict with barn dates. If somebody wanted to have a baby shower or bridal shower out there, it's a beautiful building. Anytime you guys want to go take a look at it, let me know. I'd be happy to walk you through it. We just opened that to the public on November 1st. I think we've already booked it 5 or 6 times. So I think we'll see it's going to be an add-on to almost every wedding, and people that already have their weddings booked from a year ago, they're calling up and saying, hey, I just saw this was available, and they're adding it in too. So I think that will help with revenue from that, and it should be a great addition. On the expense,
Probably add another $20,000 in, I would guess, in revenue flowing in from rentals
I hope so.
a year.
I hope so. We've recently we hired an individual to focus just on all of our facility rentals. So we've combined, it was shared by everybody in our staff. And now we've got one person focusing on that, because I see it as a really important revenue stream between the city and the county and properties. Our parties that we put together, our gym facility rentals, all of our pavilion offers, and the barn, and now this house, it's a huge piece of our revenue. And I really need somebody that focuses just on that and make sure we're providing the best offer to the public and that we're producing the most revenue we can from that. I'm excited about that. On the operational expense side of that slide, you see, no surprise, people are one of the most expensive things that you ever deal with. And repairs and improvements are the other biggest part of that. Almost $1 million in expense for these properties. So if you look at revenue versus expense, this puts us around $100,000 in the hole for this past year, and that's really just high-level stuff. That operational side could be a bigger number. I didn't drill down into it. I just took high-level, really easy numbers to grab that are unmistakably just to county-owned property. So just wanted to share that. That's just the reality of where we are. Next slide. So this compares Berkeley County, West Virginia, with median standards based on the National Rec and Park Association and the International County Managers Association. So just to give an idea of how are we doing, are we working efficiently, how are we compared to other park boards that may be structured differently, kind of shows where we stack up. So for the number of residents we have, there's a recommendation of how many acres of parkland you should have. So where the median recommendation is 9.9 acres, we're about 3.5 in Berkeley County. So we have about a third maybe of what's recommended to hit that median number. Our operating budget at Parks and Rec is again about a third of the national median. The number of employees we have is again about a third of that median. And if you go down to the bottom, the number of residents per indoor rec center to hit that median number, we have about half of the indoor facilities that are recommended. So that shows although I think we all know that, but it shows the the need for population centers like west towards Hedgesville and north towards Spring Mills, how we could benefit from an additional indoor facility there. Next slide. If you start to attach numbers to that kind of thinking, it starts to look something like this. Just to get a little closer to median on operational costs, repairs and improvements, and some additional staff, not to get us to that median number, but a little closer, adds up to nearly $7 million over 5 years. Those other numbers are for development of these future projects that we've talked about. Turf at DuPont, building out the 2 new facilities that are already in the planning phase at Poorhouse and at Inwood, land acquisition for additional indoor centers, and land acquisition for additional outdoor parks. Quickly get to $100 million. That's just the reality of what it would cost to start to see some of our dreams come true that we would like to be able to provide for the county. And that wraps up my update. Happy to answer any questions.
That 101 stands out there. I was going to say, you know, when they sell something for $10, they make it $9.99.
Yeah.
And if you make that
99.
Yeah, 99, and you get it under 100 million.
Drop the zero.
It just seems a lot less, even though it's not, but from a perspective standpoint, it's better.
What was was it 50 million floated up at,
They sold revenue bonds at Bridgeport for 39 million.
39 million.
To build their indoor facility, but they've got
Yeah.
about 50 million now in the whole complex.
that's what I thought,
The bridge he's talking about, obviously. And they're paying it all back in revenue bonds with the sales tax money, City of Bridgeport. So kudos to them. They've got the right focus in that community. You're preaching to the choir here. I'm going to do everything I can while I'm sitting in this chair to bring as much money to our park system as we can. And I don't think we can achieve 99 million in 5 years, but one thing we're working on really hard is the impact fee thing, and I think, at least in my opinion, a large percentage of that needs to go to our public park system, and I'm going to fight to see that happens.
Yeah, we're also hoping that the TIF funds may also be able to assist because the park would be a positive addition, to those areas. So we're looking everywhere possibly to be able to come up with the funds to be able to grow our parks, and especially the impact fee to be able to acquisition additional lands that's necessary for the future. Joe, I personally want to thank you for your efforts. I know you've been very, very busy, especially with getting the parks back to the standard that we expect them to be. You've paid very close attention to the maintenance and the cleanliness of the parks, and that's really important to the public. So thank you for your efforts there. And I just want to make sure, Ben, you got the president of your board here too. Make sure, please, so that when we do open up the Hoax Run Park, that Macy's has an invitation, because they were a provider of the pavilion. And there's still money for another pavilion for Poorhouse and one for the Inwood Park that Jennifer and I discussed with Macy's when we were doing that negotiation.
We just talked about that this morning. Now, that additional pavilion, is that okay to put at the existing park?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
that's
we could
your-
certainly
that's
use
your
another
choice.
one there. And if I originally had the idea that was going to be set aside for the new acreage, but if it's okay to put that on existing land, we can
No,
get rolling with
that's
that.
really your choice where
Okay.
you feel it needs to
Well,
go.
there'll be a need at both parts of that for sure. So.
Jennifer, you wanted to?
I just want to say Macy's does want to be involved in it.
Sounds good.
I'd have a few other comments if you don't mind, Joe. The leak in the lake, you think at this point is fixed at this point?
Well, we fixed the leak that was visible, but I still see.
Was that
water.
on the bank running parallel with the creek go? Is that correct? And
That's
not
right.
the actual dam?
That's right.
Yeah.
There was actually
Yeah.
an open hole that is one that you could see.
And it was going into the creek, I assume?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's repaired, and that is no longer leaking, but there's still water coming through. When I walk along that creek bed, I see it coming through the dam side.
I don't know if
That's
there's a,
happening below the water
Yeah.
level.
I don't know if there's a better photo in Berkeley County than that picture of the poorhouse farm right there. I'm gonna get a copy and put it in my office because that's an unbelievable picture, and we need a poorhouse farm in North and South Berkeley County.
Yeah.
And I think everybody here understands that. We just gotta find out how to fund it. The other thing, though, on the master plan for the poorhouse that I'm totally adamantly opposed to is building ball fields out there. We've got the football field, fine, but to build more there when you got DuPont down there, it can be improved and spend 1/3 of the money it would take to do it out there. And then a suggestion at the Rooney Park is to put a little fishing pond in there. I think it has the ability to hold water there. There's a little spring that comes up out of the ground on the property. And I think that would be a good community attraction there. Because really the only public fishing in all of Berkeley County is Poorhouse. That's it, unless you know somebody that has a pond. And it's just a great source of leisure for our community, is fishing. So, but we really appreciate the job that the park system's doing, and we're going to do everything we can to support you and hopefully make it work. So, I don't think you can ever spend enough money on this type of thing in your community, and the way we're growing, it's even going to be of more importance for us. So, there'll be other resources other than the impact fees as well that we can get some money for. So.
Tim, have anything to say? You
Just amazed at the progress that's being made and the new facilities that are proposed. Future looks bright. Thank you.
I think you've carried on a real good tradition like Steve had. I mean, he was able to take a dime and get $3 out of it most of the time for the school or for the Parks and Rec, and it is a heavy lift, to have that much and to keep it in the shape that it's in. So, thank you for.
Yeah, let us know when Hope's Run is completed, because then we'll get the Battlefield people in and do the transaction as far as the funding and all, and get that completed. But they didn't want to do it until after the completion because the appraised value will be worth more at that point. So,
right. Very good. Joe, thank you so much, and I'm sure that you'll be in before some more, and because we got
Absolutely.
some budgeting coming up.
Thanks a lot
I have that $50,000 check for you, and
We'll get it. It's on PO long, so we'll be getting some money to you next couple of days.
for the park out there for the pavilion. So
Great.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. All righty. We have a executive session? No, sir. Have any items from the public? Come on up. State your name and for the record, and
Good morning, gentlemen, ladies. My name is Sean Wilt. I'm a Berkeley County resident. I'm what you call a transplant, I guess. I've been here since '97. I originally, 92, I started in Inwood, then I went to Jefferson County shortly, and then came back to Berkeley County in '96. I have worked, so I'm going to be brief, but I'd like to tell you guys something first to give you some understanding. Where I live here in town, we've had some issues because we live on a unique street with a unique situation. One day I saw some workmen out. They were doing some work to the parks, which was desperately needed. And I walked outside and basked in the stupidity of what they were doing, because they were building a fence that literally encircled a fire hydrant, so it was unusable, directly across from my home. Had there been a fire at my house or any of the other houses within reach of that fire hydrant, the fire department would have had to have either torn the fence down or jaws of life the fence away to use it. I was in the process of trying to figure out who I could call to put these workmen to stop, because I couldn't believe this. I literally could not believe it. And I don't believe in coincidence, but every now and again, I sometimes think that it does happen. I saw a minivan pull up and park out. Mr. Catlett got out. I did not know him, but I recognized that by the way that he looked and by some stuff in his hands, and I figured he was probably a person in charge. So I went out and spoke to him and introduced myself, and he asked me, he was you live here? Do you have, and I said, yeah. And, my wife and I live here. There's a park across the street from which I'm so glad that you guys are doing something with this. It needed done. And then I pointed out this fire hydrant issue. And I will give the man some credit. He was very magnanimous about it with the people that were working. He got them to come over and said, please take that fence up. He face palmed, I believe, in his head several times when he saw, because you literally could not use the fire hydrant. It was illegal. The point of this is, I learned that day that definitely, I've always been the kind of person that you go to the head, wherever it is, you go to the head of whatever and you deal with, and let them deal with it. He made changes that day, stopped everything, made changes, made another necessary change that was not part of the park plans. The park plans, whoever came up with it, was about to cause a parking situation that would have made the Martinsburg police probably have to live at my house. And that's honestly not an exaggeration. We had been having serious parking issues as it was. This fence thing was going to make it even worse. I guarantee it. He stepped in, he made executive decisions that day, put a stop to all of it, changed the way the fence was going to be, stopped the idiocy of an encircled fire hydrant, and made our lives and the people that live on that street better because of that. So I knew it might not sound like it, but there's a point to this. I went to him by coincidence because he showed up at the right time. You gentlemen are in charge of everything to do with the county, especially the stuff to do with the elections. Now, I know that we are 2 days out from the elections, but I would like to bring up something. And I'm not trying to lay blame on anyone. I'm trying to point out something. And before anyone can say to me, you should address your comments to Mr. Petrucci or whoever, I've talked to the revolving door of people that are in charge of the elections in this county. And it has been a revolving door since I have been involved with it. I have worked the past 6 election cycles, possibly 7, my wife and I. And while they do seem to be getting better, in many cases it seems like we take 1 step forward and we take 2 steps back. And I would just like to point out as an example, and the reason I bring this to you is because while I can go speak to Mr. Petrucci or anyone else who works over in that office of the number of people that work there, they may listen to me, but that does not mean that they will hear me. And that also does not mean that I am in a position for them to give me an honest answer, or an answer that would be anything other than a placation. And to be completely honest with you, as a person who's worked the polls, as a voter, and as a resident, that's the answers that I feel like I've gotten about very simple questions, really, honestly, simple questions, in every time that I have ever asked. And this past election cycle, things were better. The poll worker training seemed better. There were definitely things that were better, but we took 2 steps back. My precinct was lucky enough that while we had, I am betting, record turnout, we were lucky enough that we were able to be done and go to where we were supposed to be dropping off stuff. If they had told me when they asked me to sign up to be a ride back person that I was going to sit in line for 2 hours after already working a 13-hour day at the polls, because whoever came up with the logistics idea that they came up with, I would have told them no. And I plan to do so again. If this comes up and they ask me to work the polls, I'll be happy to work the polls. I will not do a ride back, not if it's going to be that situation, because whoever came up with it, it was not well thought out, not at all. I sat in line, and they can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but the ride back person that I was with, she and I were paying attention to when we got there and when we left, and it was 2 hours. We sat there for 2 hours, and the majority of the time, it felt like we were on a merry-go-round, because at one point, the people in charge that were trying to direct traffic had us go in a circle. Literally, we drove in a circle twice for no reason, simply because they forgot, I believe, that we were in line. The other thing I would like to bring up about this situation is every year, or every 2 years, especially the past 2, they give us one of these. Now, these are helpful. They really are. For someone who's new, this is great. It's got color pictures. It explains a lot. Here's the problem. They tell us, keep these. If you have a problem, you can look at this, or if it doesn't answer your question, you can contact the county clerk's office. You know, it's fun. In this booklet that the taxpayers paid for, unless Elon Musk or someone else who is a billionaire gave the state of West Virginia or whoever printed these the money to make them, we paid for them. Whoever came up with this idea wasn't smarter than a fifth grader, because nowhere in this book, nowhere, is there contact information to get a hold of the people in charge of the voting stuff. None. There is nothing in here about it. Also, if I were to say to you, at the end of the night, you have to do certain things. Very important. It's an election. There are certain things you have to do. Guarantee you, if I take a fifth grader, they're going to say, I was taught to make a list. Let's make a checklist of the things that we have to do. Nowhere in this book, nowhere, especially at the end, is there a checklist that says, these are the things that are important, that need to go to these places, that need to go to these people, or whatever. There is literally conflicting information in this book. There are 3 pages where on one page it tells you to do this, and then on the next page it tells you, no, don't do that. And then on the 3rd page it says, if you have any questions, contact the county clerk. There was an orange piece of paper that came with this that conflicted all of that. Our paperwork that we got at the beginning, which was supposed to contain some rather important paperwork for us as poll workers that we needed, 1, to open the poll, and 2, to get the poll stuff going as it was going, wasn't there. That should have been a literally, every packet, there should have been someone who was confirming, is this paperwork in this packet? How does something like that get forgotten? We called. Hey, we're going to need this. It showed up an hour before our poll was supposed to close. 1 hour. Now, I swear to you, gentlemen, I'm not trying to be negative, but this is the thing. Every time we take a step forward, it seems like we take 2 steps back. This book can show you how to pack up all the equipment in beautiful color pictures that cost the taxpayers however much money. It can show you how to pack up the equipment, but there's not one single page. It's a checklist that says this is what goes where because it's an election and it's important. We had to call and get someone and said, we don't know what we're supposed to do with this thing. We feel it's pretty important, but we don't know what we're supposed to do with it. And the book says this, then it says this, then this orange piece of paper says another thing. And the person who answered the phone said, hold on, wait a minute. I have to find out because I don't know either. Then they came back and said, well, I guess you could just put it in this place, and if they need it, they'll have to go find it. Gentlemen, this is ridiculous. And the reason I bring this to you is because the county clerk's office answers to the county council. You are in charge. It is your job to see that things are running the way they are. They did run better, but we took 2 steps back. I am not in a position to ask questions and expect answers, honest answers that might get changes. You are. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items from the public? If not, Mr. Bernhardt?
Well, if we're finished, I'd like to make a motion to recess.
We are in recess. Thank you.